and welcome to Inktober 2019. I'm so excited about this and so nervous about it. As you may have seen from my introduction video, this is going to be a little bit different from other Inktobers where I have just done drawing pieces and posted them on Instagram. This time though, I am going to be sharing the whole process with you, or at least most of the process. So from the sketch, and I have the line work already sussed, it's already done, but from that point to the finished design, you're going to come along with me. So this is very exciting and very new. If you want to see the prompt list, I have that over on my Instagram, and feel free to join in. Use the hashtag GreekMythTober, and I will be sharing my favourite ones. It means everybody else who's doing this particular prompt list, there are a few of us, will be able to see what's going on, see each other's posts, all that jazz. So I am a bit ahead of myself. It's actually the 1st of October today, but I have already done 5 days worth of Inktober to get ahead a little bit, and meaning that I'm hopefully not going to burn out in the course of the month. So today's prompt that I'm just about to show you is Artemis, who is the Greek goddess of the hunt and the night, and she's the sister of Apollo, and she's much cooler than Apollo. This was a fun process to start with, and I will show you all my mistakes along the way, and hopefully we can all learn from them and improve as the month goes on. So without further ado, here is Artemis. And here we are. So as you can see, I've already done the line work and transferred it over to this watercolor paper. And yeah, so I started out doing this digitally. So the line work was digital and then printed out, then transferred using a very basic approach, which was scribbling on the back of the printout with red pencil and then using a hard pencil to transfer that design. So just going over all of it in pencil to transfer it onto the paper. And I'm using Copic markers here, so alcohol-based markers, and somehow I have accumulated quite a decent collection of these over the years, and I will admit I've spent quite a bit of money on art supplies for Inktober this year, more than I perhaps should have, but we're gonna make it worth it. So here, as you can see, excuse me. So yeah, you can see I've given her a pixie cut for one thing, because she seems like the kind of goddess who would have a sort of I don't care about you pixie cut. Yeah, so she's also got grey hair, which I actually changed my mind about later. I thought it was going to look really cool, make her look like she meant business, but unfortunately the colours just weren't working for me, basically. As you can see over on the left, I had actually made a little swatch palette of the colours I wanted to use in this, and I changed my mind later, decided that actually this was going to be a bit too limited and a bit too cool. Generally speaking, my work has got quite warm colours. Even when I use blues, they tend to be quite warm blues, quite deep navy blues as well. So yeah, you'll see over the course of this drawing, I learnt quite a bit about myself and about what I like in terms of colour and what I don't. So as cool as both cool in the sort of 90s slang word use of it, and in the actually cool temperature-wise in terms of the colour meaning of the word, as cool as the pixie cut looked, it was kind of too cool. So I decided to sort of make her, I guess, blonder later on, just to warm up the whole image. Here I'm going round and doing some line work, and this is another thing that I learnt over the course of this drawing, is that I don't actually think the black outline does it much justice. Probably mostly because I've been used to using gold as outlines and sort of metallics as outlines in my digital work, so this seems like a bit of a step backwards for me. That said, you know, it's not bad. and I don't think this piece turned out badly, but it doesn't reflect where I'm wanting to go with my art right now. And the great thing about doing a 30-day challenge is that you can see those things and decide, okay, this is a direction I've tried and I don't quite like it, so I'm going to go in a different one. So yeah, you'll see that over the course of hopefully the month, but the ones I've done so far ahead of time, I've already seen a sort of progression in my approach. So that's very exciting. And yeah, so here I'm adding the black background. I'll be doing a lot of black backgrounds for Inktober this year. I just really like the way that colours, and especially metallics, show up against black. And it just makes everything else really pop. So that's fairly typical of my work as well. I try out different types of backgrounds, but usually end up going with a black background. I don't know, other people seem to be able to make lighter backgrounds look great, but I've never quite figured out the knack of that. Yeah, so this is a liquid ink, which is pretty easy to use, and it will cover a lot of area quite quickly. And fortunately here I've decided not to put anything complicated in the background, so I don't have to go around too many little details, although I do actually think that's a weakness of this piece. It doesn't really look like my work so much because there isn't any of that pattern in there, which is something I do a lot of and I love, and so that's also something I learned from this piece here. As you can see, I'm going around and using a bit of orange, and that is because the main colour, I shouldn't say primary colour, well it is a primary colour, but the main colour I'm using here in this piece is blue. That's the dominant colour, and orange is the complementary colour to blue. So if you use blue and orange together, they kind of bounce off each other, and there's a technical term for it, but I can't remember it. They kind of vibrate, so when you're looking at it, your eye flicks between the two colours really fast, and it gives it a kind of energy. And the Impressionists did this a lot. I mean, it's been done throughout art history, but the Impressionists were real masters at this, and so they would put complementary colours in the shadows of a main colour. So that's what I've done a little bit here, and if you used a colour picker tool, it might not come up as orange, but that little bit of warmth and orangeness in there does deepen those shadows and gives it a bit more oomph, which I felt this piece needed, and I don't know how successful that was. I don't want to sound too down on this piece because I do like it, it just doesn't feel like me as much as some of my other pieces that I've done recently. But it's early days of Inktober, it's only day one, so I think I hope we'll see a progression and me sort of finding my voice in this medium, because I haven't done a lot of this kind of art, and I certainly haven't done a lot of it and with drawing figures, which is kind of very terrifying, especially drawing this on camera. So as you'll see here, the metallic I'm using is a mix of silver with a little bit of copper in it, which I also changed my mind about. Yeah, I think there's just something about gold that works really well, so I actually went back over it and yeah, made it gold. But that's okay, you know, it was a learning experience. Oh, here we are taking off the tape. Oh, it's so satisfying. Unfortunately, the tape does not block out the alcohol markers. That kind of bleeds underneath, which is not super helpful. But on the black, which is a liquid water-based ink, it gives a lovely line. And yeah, here I'm just adding little bits of beading to her dress and some stars, which I think worked out pretty well, giving it just a little bit more oomph. Like I said, I think using a bit more pattern would have made it more like my work, but we live and we learn, and like I said, this is early days, so let me know in the comments if you are doing Inktober this year and if you're following along with any of these prompts. Don't forget to use the hashtag GreekMythtober, which is not the most elegant of hashtags, but hey, we work with what we've got. And yeah, that is Artemis. Thank you very much for watching this little demonstration. It's a full time lapse. The whole thing took me around 3 hours to do the colour, and yeah, it's very, very sped up, as you can see. Tomorrow's prompt is Circe, one of my favourites, who has sort of come back into the popularity, I guess, with Madeline Miller's book, which is called Circe. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to share that one with you. I think there's a progression from the first to the second, so that is definitely positive. And yeah, until then, follow me over on Instagram for all the Inktober goodness, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.